Hey animators, welcome to assignment number 3. So eventually I'm going to lose track of the assignment numbers because I didn't keep everything very well after college since I kind of just ditched it. So assignment number 1 was ball bounce, assignment number 2 was ball bounce with the tails, and I included that in the video that I did last Monday. So assignment number 3 was, of course, the flour sack. And I mean, who isn't excited about the flour sack animation? I mean, it's just about the cutest thing you could ever draw. Pretty fun to draw and encompasses a lot of the principles of animation, right? So, I mean, I was excited about it, but also at the same time in life, I was going through some stuff. And I'm just going to tell you about it because I think it's important for other people to know that life just keeps on going. So, let's see. I genuinely hope that nobody has the same struggle, but I'm just gonna, there's no way to basically tell it without just telling you what happened to me. So before I got to college, I had already been dealing with insomnia, and when I got to college it just got even worse. Surprise, surprise, insomnia is a huge part of being a college student. And let's be honest, you're not really expected to get sleep, right? Most animators will boast that they worked late, and it's kind of just like the workaholism is encouraged almost. Plus, there is just a surplus and availability of caffeine around you and nobody to really prompt you to hold back from whatever you want to do because you are on your own. You can be as unhealthy as you want to be. You can stay up as late as you want to stay up. Other people are doing the same. And so there's just kind of all that going around. Also, at this time, I was living in campus dorm rooms with my very wonderful roommate who I do not envy. I appreciate her for putting up with me as a roommate because of the just horrible habits that I had. So I did this animation, and as you can see, it was fine. I didn't quite understand, again, the reference footage. I remember basically not using reference footage and then including a video that I did basically because we had to provide reference footage that we used to go along with it to show that we took footage. Well, okay, so I don't think I did that, but I was just going through a lot of crap at that time. So let's see, my aunt, my first relative in my family ever died. My one dog had died earlier, I think in the year, at the beginning of the semester. So this was technically like the second semester of college because it was after winter break. But this is like the second animation to show you, so I just have to tell you. I actually ended up going to rehab the day of this critique for my sleeping pill abuse. So it was devastating to me to miss a critique because you just don't miss critiques. They are a big deal, and I couldn't believe that I was missing it. I was really freaking out about it. I got my animation in and it was in the shared hard drive and it was turned in on time. And I had a notice from a counselor that went to my teacher so that she knew I didn't just skip the class or anything, but I actually had a reason to be gone. But for me, it just wasn't good enough. That my health needed to be a focus at the time was like unacceptable. Um, so I went to rehab. This was also before spring break occurred. So literally the last day before spring break. And then I was also scheduled to, during spring break, attend this class with Glenn Vilppu for figure drawing. So I was in a time crunch. Like, I could not be in rehab. I needed to go do these things to progress my career. Who cares about my health? Well, of course, now clearly I care a lot about my health because I think it's a key part of actually being successful, and having success is having a body that you care about and understand is your vehicle for your craft. So, but yeah, so critique day came. I didn't show up to class. I was plagued by all of these thoughts of I knew my classmates would be like, ooh, she didn't show up. Ooh, where's she at? But then also, everybody left the day after, so who knew? For all they knew, I just skipped out for spring break a day early for some stupid reason. But no, I went to a rehab. My roommate was an old woman who always wore adult diapers, and I was in there with somebody who suffered from narcolepsy. So that person fell asleep at any point in time, any point in our meetings or breakfast or anything. I was in there with somebody who was manic, and he essentially hit a low in his high by walking to Denny's and giving out all the money that was in his wallet. Anyways, I was in there, but I needed to get out of there. I needed to get out of there soon because my class started soon, and they didn't really let people out when they said they were just ready to be gone. But anyways, I somehow convinced them that I was fine and I wasn't going to abuse these drugs anymore. And I got out of there in 3 days, just in time to make it to my class with this amazing art instructor. Okay, so it took me a minute to think about how the story that I just told you could possibly apply to anybody other than myself. And I had to think about it because it's kind of out there. Not everybody is going through a sleeping pill addiction and going to rehab with only 3 days to spare. But there is a general lesson that can be applied to all, right? And that is a focus on health. So at that point in time, I was doing things that were really unhealthy, and hopefully you're not going through anything similar, nothing quite so severe. But it can be applied to things like diet. It can be applied to unhealthy eating, binge eating, drinking lots of caffeine, not sleeping well. And generally, my focus on health, I think, came a lot because of this one incident in my experience. And for that, I'm kind of grateful, because I learned that at some point you literally have to put your career goals aside and think about your body, because it's not just immune to anything and everything that you're doing to it. It literally is being impacted no matter if you're focused on it or not. So if you are, wherever you are in animation in your journey right now, I want you to just think about your health. What's the last meal that you ate? Okay, how many meals do you eat in a day? What is the drink that you drink most often? How much water are you consuming? And all these things seem kind of irrelevant when you're a student because you're just going through life and whatnot, but really it is so important because your body is the entire, it just is your physical self. It might not be, you might not identify your spirit or being with your body that much, but it just is your vehicle for whatever you do in life. So no matter what, you have to take care of it. And in rehab, the best gift that I got from it was literally being in a place where I woke up and I had no obligations put on me. I did not have to perform, I did not have to draw, or I literally didn't have the means to do any of that. So even if my mind was thinking, like, I have to be working on something, I couldn't do that. And in just being with these people and not having anything to do other than just be myself, like, it was almost like meditating and just coming into an awareness of how life can be slow and can be still and not so fast paced and hectic. And it just reminded me of a world outside the small bubble that I was living in. So that's really the most relatable thing I think I can offer to you from this entire experience. It's weird for me to share because I don't really know my audience out there, and it's a very personal thing. It's hard to admit that I went to rehab, but I did. And yeah, so if you can relate to this somehow and you want to talk about it further, just message me because that's honestly the easiest way. It's, anonymous to everybody else out there in the world. And the nice thing about me not being in this animation industry is that I can be very transparent with all of this. If I were going to apply to jobs at a big studio, I wouldn't come out on the internet and be like, hey, I was addicted to drugs. I probably wouldn't do that. But still, I mean, who knows? I've got no idea how many other people were dealing with maybe alcohol or, there's a lot of stuff that's actually legal that you can get addicted to. You know. So, yeah, I hope that somehow this video was helpful to somebody. And if not, then I guess just wait for next Monday in the next video, because that will be a lot lighter and probably more applicable to just animation students in general. But yeah, don't forget that your body is important.